We moved into Sagittarius season, the season of the quest for truth. And Sagittarius represents stories and storytelling and the philosopher. It rules the hips in the body, and it is associated with the mineral silica. And silica is amazing. I've used a lot of the homeopathic cell salt, silicea or silica, to prevent styes because I started to get dry eye. And this totally turned around my eyes and, lubricated them. And also it helps my skin, and it is good for a lot of things. Elasticity in tissues. So the benefits of silica are really important. And if you don't have enough silica in your system, you may have trouble thinking. You may feel despondent about life. So minerals are associated with how good we're feeling. So balancing the blood using homeopathic cell salts is one of those ways. And this is a part of astrotheology and the whole symbiotic nature of the as above, so below, the inner and the outer. And so in Sagittarius season, it is about stories, storytellers. I know a lot of Sages who are really amazing storytellers. And I think about the stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves, or that we tell others about ourselves. And that's always interesting to observe and see what is your story. And, there are ways to change your story. And part of it is through clearing the traumas around stories and then recreating your stories. We don't always have to hang on to these tragic stories we have from childhood, or, we can recreate them. And I read a lot of ancient books that tell the stories, like creation stories, myth and creation stories, and they're fascinating because there are really a lot of common threads in these stories. And the nature in these stories is so mystical. There's so much magic happening in the nature, in the forest, in certain groves, because this is the way the ancestors thought about and knew about this reality, was that it was full of mystical encounters, and there are energy lines in the earth that create portals and dimensions and energies, good and bad. And there was more of just a general understanding of the mystical nature of this reality. And I love, I've been reading the epic of Hi'iaka Ikapolio Pele, as Pele's fires are burning. And it's been a while, so I pulled that book off the shelf, and it's amazing to see all the the magical events that happen in that book, and how Hi'iaka is such a healer, and she carries all the chants and the words. So words become alchemy. Words become this way of changing energy. And I think that is really important and really common through, like, my ancestry in Scotland and Ireland. it is common to know, to know that certain people hold these songs, and we're taught the stories that and the poetry that change energy. So I like to remind myself of that, because in our modern reality, there are a lot of ways that spells are being cast through our language. And we really have to pay attention to the things we're telling ourselves, and what the things we say, and also even in gossip, if you talk about others, you're actually drawing that energy to you. So there is a whole thing with that, and it's literally in the word spelling. So there's a lot of really obvious, yet we can overlook it, magic in everyday reality. And I love the Sagittarians in my life because they're really big thinkers, and they want to create these amazing systems, and through stories, through weaving music and song and dance. There's just a lot of creativity. And this time of year, the focus is more on the inner, as we've come through the balance of the Libra season. Now we're moving towards the darkness and towards the darkest point, which is Capricorn. And Capricorn, there will be the darkest time, and then we'll start moving towards the light again. So this is kind of the descent, and that arrow that kind of shoots the sun, and the sun is falling to its death as it recreates itself again in Capricorn. And then we start moving towards the light. And this is a way of moving through the seasons that actually puts you in alignment with the flow state of this reality. Our modern day calendars, this time of year, we're supposed to be running around doing all these things, doing all this materialistic, shopping and blah, blah, blah. And it's really a hijack of what is really at the core of this time, which is spending time around the fire, telling stories, getting together with loved ones, in a kind of more internal time. Less running around in craziness, but more like settling in and resting. And because that time will change, and then there'll be spring, and spring is about action. It's Aries. So following the tropical zodiac, which is not constellations, it is a system to follow. There's each season has an energy, each sign has an energy that we move through. And working with the energies of the moon and the sun to create whatever you want to create in this timing. So it's a good time to work on the inner reality. And I keep flashing to the sun because it's so beautiful. I love it. And we're getting a lot of sun and rain here, which has just been divine. And I want to say a little bit about myself. I am, because I never really introduced myself, but my name is Caitlin, and I am a midlife mermaid. I've been a jeweler for many years and was really committed to just being a jeweler. And then I started to have my own healing journey around 2016, and through lots of different means and ways and ceremonies and connecting to my ancestors, clearing up some of my ancestral dramas and traumas. And, I've had, it's been a long journey, but I have gotten to a place in my life now that I actually do feel good about who I am and what I'm doing. And what I am doing is working with tools of alchemy. I work with the astrology chart as it relates to the body, and I see the chart now more as energies and angles of light, where you have planets and where you have energies. And I connect it to the body because there's a whole system of the chart and the body and balancing minerals and balancing energy. And I work with the tools of biogeometry, which I learned about when I was in Egypt and studied. And these tools are amazing because they actually bring the energies of sacred sites that are really balancing and centering to your system. So I'm able to take disturbances, say, in the nervous system, in the lymph system, in the circulatory system, and I can change that energy with shapes. And then I can work with the land, and I can work with the home and changing energy of electric into a higher vibration, which just creates a more centered feeling and actually creates more life force energy. And I also work on pets. So your beloved pet could be stressed out. They absorb a lot of energy from the earth. Dogs don't like geopathic stress, and they absorb all the stresses that we have. And maybe, sometimes it's a situation and before you adopted your dog or something that has always, they've always been nervous or jumpy, or you can change that energy in one session with, working with these tools of biogeometry. So we have to remember that we have the power to change things through alchemy. And this is the power of the word in Sag season. These chants, these sacred poems, these stories that actually change energy. And that is magic. And that is a really beautiful part of being here. And we have to tune into the magic a little bit more. And remember the law of resonance. Because the law of resonance is whatever you're focused on and coming into resonance with you, it will affect you. And you becoming into resonance means you're aligning with it. So we have to be aware of that in our energy field. And check out my website if you're interested in a session. I offer a 20-minute free consult to see if this work is right for you. And, it's a whole new way of working on the body. That's an old way. This was more known long ago, but we lose some of the really amazing things through all the years of changing history, changing through traumas, through cataclysms, through, we've lost a lot of our abilities or even knowledge of how to work with this reality and change things for the better. I'm wishing you a beautiful day.